Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Las Vegas. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Filled with wrestling news, entertainment, and lots of Sin City surprises from inside the squared circle. Now, let's bring on the tag team of Andrew Fish Fain, Joe DeFalco, and your host, Mark Hoke.
And we are back for hour number 2 of show number 100, guys.
Woohoo!
Jeez, Fish, you don't have to kill the mic.
I'm just excited, baby. Come on now. It's the 30th anniversary of Raw in a week, and we beat it with a 100th anniversary of the show.
I just say, can you dig it, sucker? That's what you say.
Because you're the 5-time, you're the 100-time.
Yeah,
I'm not even going to go there.
Don't. Andrew Fish feeding there. I'm Mark Hoke. Joe DeFalco, our other co-host, is now on the line for Future Stars of Wrestling. Mr. DeFalco, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I didn't realize it was the 100th show, and that's why Fish was sticking around. You know, I was boycotting Fish. I figured he'd be off the air by now.
I know you did, but I missed you so much, Joe.
So it's an added bonus for me.
Yeah, there you go. And we've also got from Reality of Wrestling and, of course, doing their show on ESPN Radio down there in Houston, 97.5, 92.5. Brad Gilmore's with us as well. Brad, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good, guys. Man, again, congrats on 100 episodes. That's not an easy feat.
Well,
especially not when you have to work with Mark.
Stop.
Well, that's what I'm saying, Anthony.
Unbelievable.
I love it when they jump on my side.
It's not nice at all.
No, I know.
It's terrible. But anyway, well, we were talking a little about what was going on with Reality of Wrestling down there in Houston and just how awesome it was to work with Booker T. And Brad, I wanted to let you finish your comment that you were making before we took the hour break.
Yeah, no. We were just talking about the wealth of knowledge that somebody like Booker down here at Reality of Wrestling can give you. And I was just saying, again, from all aspects and facets of the industry, because this is a guy who's played every role on the television show as well. Even as the commentator, the voice of the show, Booker's given me so many little nuggets and insights that have really been able, for me, to do my job more effectively, and that job is to make sure that the talent is presented in the best possible way. So, again, there's a lot of great schools, but that's another reason why just Reality of Wrestling has been able, just like Future Stars of Wrestling, to turn around so many big names and future big names in the industry.
And Joe, I think that congratulations is in order because didn't one of your recent graduates make their first appearance on Impact Wrestling and sign a contract? Would you like to talk about that person?
Well, yeah, we had the last couple of years, we put through the WWE system with Karrion Kross, who we trained, and then Zoe Stark, and now, as you see, main eventer in WWE, Solo Sikoa. They all came through what we were doing, and in the past, Chris Bay started with us, and he was the first one in the pipeline for Impact Wrestling, and then more recently, Jay Vidal, who started at Gangrel School, again, top-notch schools. And he started with Gangrel and moved to Vegas and really honed his craft. We worked on character stuff, and Jay just took off, and had a huge year. And it's great to see these guys being rewarded for it, because the thing is, there's a lot of talent out there, but it's hard to make sure you see all the talent, and you got to get that reputation. And like this past weekend, we were lucky enough to have Gabe Sapolsky from WWE, through Zoe Stark and people that he saw the FSW, people that have taken it to the next level. Sid Bodie, who trains at the Performance Center, Kenny King, and he came down this past weekend, and they're changing up how, some of the things are done. Of course, he jokingly said, hey, I might get a text in the middle of this conversation that says I'm fired, but, he's taking it as business as usual, and what Triple H is looking for, with WWE. And I even know, talking with him, another one of the schools he's looking to visit is, of course, Booker's school. And it's because, there's so many people that have come out of there that have taken it to the next level. It's taking things seriously, and sometimes you don't have time for people who just want to be weekend warriors.
Yeah, and I mean that's one thing. When I coached volleyball for 20 years, and I never coached wrestling, obviously, but the one thing that I always tried to do with my players was, having worked with some of the top programs in the country and been around Olympic coaches and such, what people are looking for when you're trying to get them into colleges. So you want to teach them those things that you're going to be able, that that the college coaches are going to be looking for. So when they see, oh, that kid does this, that kid does that. Okay, Mark coached this kid. He knows what he's doing, and this kid's going to be able to be an asset to my program. You guys are doing the same thing with both of your schools. What everybody is wanting to do, and as opposed to some places where it is just kind of get in and do something crazy and for no good reason. You're teaching them what they need to know, how to do it the right way. So when someone does come around to take a look at them, that they're prepared and they know what they're talking about. I mean, it's impressive what both of you guys are doing. And Brad, you may comment on it.
No, yeah, and you're absolutely right. And the thing about it is, guys, all the trainers and leadership over at Future Stars of Wrestling, or even down here at Reality of Wrestling again, we do know what is being looked for. And a lot of the times, and I'd be curious to know if you had the same experience over there at FSW, but sometimes these guys and girls are competing at a lot of different independent wrestling shows, and they're not being given feedback other than when they walk through the curtain, they get the good match, brother. But at Reality of Wrestling, we definitely say, look, here's why you should not do that. These are the reasons why. Booker takes time to sit down with everybody after the show's over, and sometimes he'll be there to midnight or past talking through their matches, saying, look, this is why this was the right thing to do. Here's how you could have made it better, though. This is why you shouldn't have done that. And giving true and honest feedback is the best way to grow a performer, and telling them it's almost more important to know what not to do than it is to know what to do. And it's one of the things that he's really good at doing.
Joe, you want to comment on that?
Well, yeah, we have a little different situation because guys like Sin Bodie, Kenny King, TJ Perkins, Chris Bay, all these guys that are willing to offer that input, they're not always on every show, sometimes the smaller shows. But Sin Bodie runs our classes Monday and Tuesday. Kenny runs them Wednesday. So if we have a show like we just did this past Friday night, I guarantee you Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, Kenny King will have a class where he sits everybody down, or Sin Bodie, everybody will be in the office. It isn't always about being inside the ring. And they're going to spend 2 hours going over the entire show, especially the younger guys who have gotten the opportunity to have matches. And again, it isn't, hey, well, congratulations, what a great lockup you did. Well, if you're wrestling on shows, you should do that by now. And it's all about the little things and what it's going to take to get you to that next level. Our roster's loaded. If you saw our show on Friday night, you swore it was a casino show because from top to bottom, all our champions were there, guys like Danny Limelight, who Reality of Wrestling knows well, when they did the show here. And, the talent level of some of the, guys from California, Arizona that we bring in, is tremendous. And it makes, the competition a lot harder, especially since we also run the school and we're trying to get our students on the show. But, the reality is, the strong survive. And, we try to help everybody in every single way that we can to get them to the next level. And then it becomes up to them. We had Gabe down on Thursday to watch training. He sat and watched the entire show. And there's so many guys that are like on that level where they're getting on shows that I didn't see them at all. So if you're not on the show Friday, you would think you'd at least show up on Thursday because gave feedback to everybody that he saw, and some of these younger guys just missed the boat and didn't see them the entire weekend.
Now, without naming names necessarily, but the job that you guys do, both Reality of Wrestling and Future Stars of Wrestling, is so impressive. But are there schools out there that don't teach people the right way, that are more in it for just, I guess, to make their money or whatever? Or is that not really? Because it seems that in the industry, as cutthroat as it can be, people are also very supportive of each other, and they want everyone to succeed. So, I mean, are there places that you need to look out for?
From my example, 1,000%. You know, California runs so many shows, and they run so many shows in front of 30, 40, 50 people. Like, I would have gave up by now if I couldn't get more than 40 people at my show. So a lot of younger independent wrestling guys who have some money, they'll get a ring and say, hey, I got a school now. And, you know, the one thing I tell people, you know, if you're not going to choose my school, you know, please try to choose a school where the trainers are somebody who's actually accomplished something in the business. How could somebody teach you something if they don't know? So a guy like Gangrel in Florida, he started with Rikishi in California. You know, Rikishi's brought through a lot of people. Santino brothers, they might not have had the huge success outside, but guys like Brody King in AEW and Ryan Taylor, who got to NXT, you know, there's a good bunch of guys that have progressed to the next level. And when you see that B-Boy in San Diego, you know, that's the West Coast that I could think of. There's a lot more schools than that, but I can't tell you 10 that are like, oh, yeah, you know, that school's great. There's 3 or 4 schools that are really, really good. You know, Booker's school it's about getting that reputation. It really means something.
Brad, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. Of course, as with anything, there are a lot of places out there where you can go and get trained, but the reputable ones like the FSW or Reality Wrestling, there's reasons why those names carry more weight. It's just because of the quality that we are able to do. And to go off of what Joey said, having somebody who's been there and done that, like a Gangrel or like a Kenny King or a Sim Bodie or a Booker T, for that matter, it makes a world of difference. Just on Thursday night, we had our new crop of kids down there. These are guys who are 3-6 months into training, and they thought they were showing up for a regular day. And who walks through the door but Shelton Benjamin, who's going to start coming around and helping. You know, he lives in the Houston area. He's going to start coming down and helping train some of the newer guys. And to be able to have those experiences from people who've been there and done that, like Joey said, so important.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing that I don't think people realize how in-depth this industry really is. They just see what's on TV and, you know, think people just kind of show up for a couple of months and roll around and hop in a ring, and it is so much more than that, no doubt. And both you guys do a great job, so it's pretty cool to see. I thought Fish, I thought you had something to say there. I apologize.
No, all I was going to say is that this show is the Reality of Wrestling and the Future Stars of Wrestling of radio shows.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's very nice of you to say.
We are that good.
Of course, this is the Mark Hoke Show on KDWN 101.5 FM, 720 AM. We are the talk of Las Vegas. Best in pro wrestling news and entertainment. I'm Mark Hoke, Andrew Fish Fain, Joe DeFalco, of course, with us. And then Brad Gilmore sitting in here from Reality of Wrestling down in Houston. Of course, works with Booker T.
5 times.
Yeah, we're trying to get these guys back out. We're trying to get these guys back out here. They did a show a while back, and I talked with Booker. And you know, I'm the one who sent you the message, Brad. If you didn't know about on the Twitter about telling Booker, let's get something done for AEW weekend. It's a pretty big weekend in May. We did it last year with like GCW and Sami Callihan's Revolver, and we ran a whole bunch of shows around their shows. So it was a huge weekend in Vegas for wrestling in May.
Look, man, you don't have to twist my arm for a reason to get out to Las Vegas. So the message will be passed along. Trust me. We had such a great time over there at the MGM Grand, and just had that opportunity for this small little company out here in Houston, Texas, to be out there in Las Vegas, Nevada, in front of all the great fans out there. That was definitely one of the most memorable shows that I've been a part of in my decade with the Reality Wrestling. And there's a lot of talent out there in Las Vegas. One kid who worked on the show, I believe Titus Alexander, I believe is his name. Man, what a sharp kid. Really think that he's got a big future. And, of course, as you said earlier, Joe, Danny Limelight, I mean, his name carries a lot of weight because he's really the real deal Holyfield, to quote Snoop Dogg. I mean, that guy really, really has all the tools.
Yeah, he's a guy that we had used sporadically, but thankfully we've got him pretty much on our main roster. He was there Friday. He's actually wrestling Matt Vandergrift for the No Limits title at our big show on the 29th. And Matt Vandergrift's another guy that we're looking at him as the next Jay Vidal. That he's the guy that somebody is going to take a strong look at. He's already had some success. He's wrestled for Conan and AAA when he's done his Tijuana shows. But I think this is the year we're hoping that Matt Vandergrift is the next signee that comes out of our school.
I will say this. There was an interview done with Jay Vidal, and Vidal said that one of his career highlight was the feud that he had with Vandergrift. And he said that they had a series of matches in Vegas, which culminated with a title match, title versus career, and it's one of the greatest matches he's ever been a part of.
Yeah, they're good friends, but they're the guys that when I show up for training, when Sin trains on a Monday at 6:00, and I'll get there at 5, to show some new people around. I might get there at 4:30. The Jay Vidals, the Matt Vandergrifts, Zoe Stark was the same way. Damian Drake. You find those guys there because they're hungry and they want it, and they're there before the doors open. They want to get their time in, so they're putting in 4 or 5 days a week. And these guys have already, killed it on the indies, but they're not content with that. And those are the guys that are going to get to that next level, because no matter what success they have, they're always still wanting more.
Absolutely. Brad, we're gonna break. Brad, do you want to stick around, or do you have to get going? I don't want to keep you if you don't need to.
Yeah, I do have to get going, guys. Again, congrats on the 100th show. If you want to know more about reality wrestling, go to realitywrestling.com. Check out our YouTube channel. Me and Booker, 4 times a week, the Hall of Fame. You can get it on your favorite podcast app. We just had the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, on for an hour conversation. So
oh, Lord.
Go check that out, guys.
Must have been amazing.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. If you want to have somebody good on instead, I'm always available.
Wow.
I'll keep that in mind, Joe. I'll keep that in mind. But again, I can't wait to be out there again in the Las Vegas heat. A little bit different down here in Texas. Love that dry heat. And I'll hopefully be seeing y'all in May. We'll be in touch, all right?
Absolutely. Sounds good.
All right. Brad, thank you so much for being... Yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really do appreciate it. And, of course, you can follow Brad at Brad Gilmore on Twitter and check out the podcast, the radio show, and everything else he's got going on. Brad, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Take care.
You got it. There you go, Brad Gilmore joining us here on the Mark Hoke Show. So there you go.
If we do a joint show, you already know the commentary team's going to be D'Lo Brown and Booker T.
And me. Get me. Come on. You got to sneak me in there sometime, Joe.
Oh, good Lord.
What are you talking about? I've done commentary before. You know that.
Yeah, I do. That's why I said, oh, good Lord.
That's
My phone wasn't working. Was somebody saying something?
Okay, you guys.
No, you were spot on, Joe. You were good. You didn't miss anything.
Oh, you guys completely suck. Anyway, hey, well, we're going to be heading to break, but before we do, I just want to remind everybody, if you're driving around Las Vegas and you're hungry, well, there's only one place to stop. And I mean that. There's only one place to stop, and that is Unique Eats out on 3100 South Durango. Unbelievable breakfast, omelets, grits, and shrimp, all sorts of great stuff. Sandwiches, pasta, award-winning pizzas, the whole ball of wax. And just say hi and tell them Mark Hoke sent you over there. We would certainly appreciate it. And they do catering as well. Celebrity chef Dominic Tedesco does an amazing job. You definitely want to get over there to Unique Eats. Once again, it's 3100 South Durango, Suite 100. You can visit their website at uniqueeatslv.com or give them a call at 702-992-3038. They're open right now. So, Fish, go over there for breakfast after the show.
Oh, of course.
All right, there we go. That's how you do it. So, stick around, everybody. We are going to have more on the Mark Hoke Show, as some crazy stuff happening in AEW as well, and the Pro Wrestling Illustrated Awards are out. Let's see if you agree or disagree, guys. We'll find out. Andrew Fish, Fain, Joe DeFalco, and Mark Hoke on the Mark Hoke Show. Stick around. We'll be back with more right after this break.
This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Here again, your host, Mark Hoke.
And we are back on the Mark Hoke Show on KDWN 101.5 FM, 720 AM. It is the talk of Las Vegas, the best in professional wrestling, news, entertainment, and more. Our 100th show on KDWN.
Oh, baby, we're a century.
Yeah, well, I don't know about a century, but 100. Joe DeFalco back there. Joe, what's going on?
Not much. Getting ready for some, more playoff action, some crazy games. I got my bets going, looking good. We got No Escape pretty much all set up. We got 3 steel cage matches. We got a 2 out of 3 falls match. We got a big match everybody's looking forward to, Limelight and Matt Vandergriff. So, a lot of big things happening. WWE announced when I talked with Gabe, they're going to be back out here, I believe, for SmackDown in March. So we're hoping to have an influx of a lot of extra talent from FSW. So
there you go. Well, that's kind of breaking news. So that's good because I kept looking on the schedule. I haven't seen any WWE events coming up, so that's good to know that. They'll be back
I was made aware of it.
Great. So
toward the end of March.
So we get the
SmackDown.
So we get the end of March SmackDown. We get a it should be double or nothing weekend for AEW. I would imagine they'll be back as well. So, boy, Las Vegas has really become a wrestling epicenter, hasn't it? I mean,
I'll tell you what,
it's amazing.
With my new connection from Gabe, I should be able to get good tickets, and maybe we can get some guests on the radio show to promote the event.
Send them over, baby. Let's
do
go.
it.
And if I could just get WWE to answer an email, that would be great too.
Well, I think we're in a better position now. He was very impressed. We really upgraded the school. We renovated. When you walk in, it looks totally different. They've turned that production office. It's amazing looking how everything's done. We painted everything. Well, I didn't, but everybody else did. But it looks, without a doubt, it looks like $1 million. And kicking off the first show we did Friday, it was stacked from beginning to end. Almost all our best talent was there on Friday night, and we had a really good crowd, and we set everything up for No Escape, and that's looking really good.
Yeah, and I can't wait because my schedule's changing here, so now I can get out of here on Saturday nights. That's going to be fantastic. Freedom for the Hoke. No reaction. Don't care. Thanks, Fish.
No, I got nothing.
Well, the show's on Sunday, but normally we run Saturday.
Well, I'm just saying. Do you know how many shows of yours I have to miss because I'm stuck in here on Friday and Saturday night? It's killing me.
Okay. Joe, that was hilarious. Thank you for giving me the moment of the night or of the day.
I hate both of you so very, very much. I really do. Anyway, so. To get back to some other wrestling news, Joe, of course, we already hammered the whole situation with the WWE sale and Stephanie. So we're gonna
hold on. I got to ask Joe. Joe, have the Saudis been in contact about buying FSW?
In all honesty, I'm hoping. I'll take their low end bid. It's like, when I saw all that stuff, it was like if anybody leaked it, I'm probably thinking it's Vince McMahon, because if they're saying it's worth $6 billion, they would offer like 9 or 10 anyway. So I think it would help drive the price up for Fox and all the others by saying, well, the Saudis are interested, so now they know they got to come in with an even stronger offer than maybe they were initially going to do it. Vince, even though he's almost 80, he's definitely got all those faculties there.
Yeah, no doubt about that. The greed factor for Vince McMahon will never, ever go away.
No, it won't. And I know we touched on this with Brad the first hour, but Brad's right. There is no wrestling without Vince McMahon. There is no wrestling today. There is no FSW. There's no reality of wrestling. There's no any of that without Vince McMahon and what he did. But sometimes time passes you, and I think that time has come, at least for the industry itself, if not the business part.
Well, and I didn't blame. It was funny when this whole thing broke, and I was like, well, let's wait and see. But the one thing I did say was, would you be shocked if Vince McMahon the whole time behind the scenes was talking to the Saudis and trying to get this worked out and then force his way on the board to get this thing closed out? I wouldn't have been. I mean, you never know with the guy. So
yeah, it's one thing I saw on the Facebook, and it's like, well, there's no way they could make this deal so quick and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, who's to say that they weren't talking about this the last time they were in Saudi Arabia? Like, I don't understand why, like, just because we just heard about it doesn't mean that was the day it started, that idea of selling the company. We've heard those rumors, a few years ago, and it kind of got, swept under the rug, and all of a sudden it comes back in. Well, Vince could make a lot of phone calls. He had a lot of free time over the last 6 months.
Right, and I can't imagine a sale of WWE has probably been on Vince's radar for God knows how long, years and years.
It's to-do list.
So, yeah. So, I mean, the guy
Dominate
wants
world,
to cash out.
Sell the Saudis.
He's looking at a company that he could sell for $7.5–8 billion. You don't think that hasn't been on his mind?
Right, and I was thinking it was like going to be similar. Like in my mind, and again, I could be totally off, but I'm looking at it as like the UFC deal where Fertitta's got their money and they kept Dana White in place, and nothing has really changed on the way the UFC has been run with the new owners, and I can't see that not happening again, to where the same players are in place. And it's like, talking about it, of course, everybody talks about it at the school. Even Gabe was talking about it, whatever. And it's like, it ain't going to be like, hey, everybody, let me introduce the new head of creative. Ahmed's going to be here, and he's going to be running the show.
No doubt about that. Yeah. So we'll see where all this goes. And obviously the world of wrestling is going to be on edge for a while until this whole thing gets settled out. As we've seen, one little rumor sparked chaos through the whole entire world wrestling entertainment company and beyond. So it'll be fun to see what happens. Now, I did want to get your opinions on these guys because these just came out, and the Pro Wrestling Illustrated Awards have been out there. Of course, those little plaques. Win? No, we didn't. We weren't in any categories.
We should have been.
What are you talking about?
I only saw the winner of one category, and I thought it was the biggest joke I'd ever heard. So I thought they were kidding.
Well, let's find out and see what you guys think. So the PWI Wrestler of the Year went to Roman Reigns.
Yeah,
not a surprise there.
No, not at all.
No. I don't think anybody else should even be thought of as not the number one wrestler. Nobody in AEW, because they rotated 13 champions. So
right, yeah, AEW was a mess.
I thought you could have made an argument for Sammy, but yeah,
no, over Roman.
Just for, I'm not talking about actual wrestler. I'm talking about just the whole character work over the year.
Well, I don't know about.
Yeah, but I think the first 6 months that he wasn't really.
No, that's a valid point. Yeah, when he was doing the match with Johnny Knoxville at WrestleMania. You're right.
Bianca Belair was the PAWI Woman of the Year.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a surprise on that either.
No.
I mean, the year she had, that was amazing. Tag Team of the Year ended up going to FTR. And, we obviously the big debate was them or the Usos. And, I think with FTR winning all those titles and doing all the work that they did this year, that one kind of made sense. But would you guys agree or disagree with that vote?
I think, didn't we discuss this you and I discussed it when we did the Christmas show. Mm-hmm. And I think that you had said it should be the Usos. I thought it should be FTR, but we could have gone either way. I don't think they were wrong in either choice.
I personally, I would have gone with the Usos. I think they had more higher profile moments. FTR, it's like, well, that's great. They went to AAA and they won the tag titles. Well, it isn't like they had 10 matches in AAA. They had like one match and they won the title. And they went to all these places and had a match and won the title. And, they were in and out in AEW, which is their main focus. And, a lot of the notoriety they got in some cases were the singles matches that they had.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, so that's where that one turned out. The match of the year did end up being Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins in Hell in a Cell. So, and that was the one that I picked.
I think I agreed with you just because what Cody Rhodes did in that match is still, to me, completely unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, there were a ton of great matches this year, and I think, and unfortunately, they don't have all the votes up on. These are up on Wikipedia. I don't have the edition yet, but Joe, would you agree with that one as match of the year?
Nah, I was going to go with Karrion Kross versus Jeff Hardy, but
yeah, we're just going to move on from that.
When I face Vandergriff, that's going to win match of the year.
And this one, apparently, there was a lot of split voting on this. I know I did see a picture where it said 27% was the winning vote total on this, but Feud of the Year, CM Punk and MJF ended up being the winner on that. Would you? Fish is kind of shaking his head, but Joe, you think that was Feud of the Year?
I personally don't, but I don't.
So
I thought there was how much time was between it? The Feud of the Year.
Yeah,
MJF wasn't on TV for like 6 months.
Fish, you were shaking your head on that too, but
yeah,
but apparently this vote got split. And like I said, I wish I could see.
Because I'm trying to think, because there were other great, like I thought Kevin.
What was second?
They don't have it listed on here. I don't have the copy, so
okay. I think that would be like a top three.
I think like Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns was a great feud this year, and that was at the beginning of the year, but that didn't last long either, though. So I'm trying to remember.
Gunther, Sheamus.
Yeah, but that again,
and I think that's why it was split, because there were there weren't that many that dragged on through the year. Like, if you look back at some of the feuds of the year that have been in here, you go back to look like Ric Flair and Terry Funk, Hogan and Orndorff, the Horsemen against the Superpowers, some of the ones that...
Yeah, those are year-long or at least 6-month, 8-month-long feuds.
Lesnar and Angle, or Bischoff, they had Eric Bischoff versus Stephanie McMahon winning one. That was pretty funny. Let's see,
I look at a long-term thing. It doesn't have to be 8 months, but it's 3 big matches. Like how could Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes be a feud of the year when Cody Rhodes wins all 3 matches? You know what I mean? It's right. Like I want to see a feud. It's back and forth. Mixing promos, mixing matches. Having different things that go on, and in my head, I'm trying to think, and nothing really stands out to me like, oh, man, watching this, was really so well done.
Well,
I don't know.
And that's probably why Punk and MJF won. They did have a series of matches. You had the thing in Chicago where you had the false finish, and then MJF still won in the dog collar match. It was a highly anticipated collision between the two. So I can kind of see why that won. Most popular wrestler of the year, and I didn't realize this. This is his 3rd win in this category. Moxley won most popular wrestler of the year. That's pretty interesting. So,
yeah, and I can see why. And Jon Moxley is absolutely beloved. I think that he's getting a little overplayed at this point in AEW. I don't like what they've done with his booking lately. He seems a little whiny almost. But
he did just take that loss to Hangman Adam Page on Dynamite this week. So,
he lost the belt, so he's able to put some people over now, and that's what usually ends up happening. I had that same conversation with people when guys like Hammerstone, and when a top guy loses the title and doesn't have it, that's your opportunity to hopefully try to make that next superstar, and the way to do that is to beat a guy who's perceived as the main guy, and Moxley is that guy. And it's like, I would have thought early on it would be Drew, but I think that disastrous feud with Cross did him no favors.
No.
And it killed both guys' momentum the way they did everything there. So there wasn't really that baby face.
And losing at Clash of the Castle didn't help.
No. So. And I'd have a real quick, I know we're kind of up against it. I have a real quick question for you, Joe, about what you just said. If Roman Reigns loses the title, does that mean he will start going on more of a losing streak almost, because he can now put people over?
I think there's a good possibility to do that, because now if are trying to make that next superstar, because I look at SmackDown and I don't see Drew McIntyre at that level anymore. You know, I did when he wrestled at the Castle, and I think everything's been flat since. You know, Kevin Owens has gotten that opportunity. You know, Seth Rollins can use that win. If again, they're saying Reigns is only going to lose one of the titles, so it probably wouldn't happen. But I'm not saying he's their top guy. So he might lose a match or two, but him losing to Drew wouldn't hurt him in any way. It was always like the Cena thing. When Cena didn't have the belt, I didn't understand why so many times, like, hey, they built up this nexus, and then they had, you know, Wade Barrett lose. Or, you know, they set up Cena, and they're building up this new guy, The Miz, and then they have The Miz lose, and they have Bray Wyatt work a feud with John Cena where it looks Bray Wyatt's getting, you know, red hot, and, you know, maybe that win over Cena puts him over the top, and then he loses. And it's like, so the WWE, you know, maybe not, because the WWE seems to be very protective of, like, Cena, and Reigns is now like Cena, so he might not be that guy. But him losing to Sami Zayn would have the crowd go bananas.
Yep, agreed. Yeah, it's interesting because WWE protects those top couple of guys, and AEW seems to sometimes do the opposite, where they're not afraid to give somebody a loss at any point. Sometimes they overdo it,
like
a little
Jericho
bit,
to I can't even think guys.
Mario
like
Andretti.
Yeah, that's it.
Action Andretti.
It's not Action Jackson. There, that was close.
Wow, you guys are.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, okay, you know, Jericho losing to a talent like that is supposed to be a big deal, but what's come up from it since? Well, nothing really. He's beating other guys. I saw recently with that Andretti guy. What did he beat? Another, like, up-and-coming guy who's really not done anything. It wasn't like it catapulted him into the stratosphere.
Yeah, they're going to be doing a little feud there. That got advanced on Dynamite this week too. Oh, well, we do have to take a break, and we come back.
The last one was Hook. Are you still doing the PWI thing?
Yeah, we're going to get through it. We got to go break, but I've got some more awards. Just hang in there.
Okay, was making sure. That was the one I couldn't stand.
Okay. All right. So stick around, everybody. 100th episode of the Mark Hoke Show on KDWN 101.5 FM 720 AM. Joe DeFalco, Andrew Fish Fain. I'm Mark Hoke. We'll be back with more right after this. Tired of the same boring food when you're out for breakfast or lunch? I'm Mark Hoke, and I have an idea for a different place to go with unique food you're sure to enjoy, and that's Unique Eats. Take some time out of your busy day and stop on in to Unique Eats, featuring celebrity chef Dominic Tedesco and his friendly staff. Whether it's a great start to your day with one of Unique Eats' amazing omelets, or lunch with his incredible sandwiches, pasta, and award-winning pizzas, you'll be in for a fantastic dining experience that won't break the bank. Unique Eats also features a smoothie bar and full vegetarian menu as well. Plus, if you need catering, you can count on Unique Eats no matter what the occasion. So what are you waiting for? Get on over to Unique Eats at 3100 South Durango, Suite 100, open daily until 3 p.m. Call them at 702-992-3038 or visit UniqueEatsLV.com for their full menu and catering info. Break out of the same old routine and have a great meal at Unique Eats today.
You're listening to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Vegas, The Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Now, here again is Mark Hoke.
And we are back on The Mark Hoke Show, final segment of our 2-hour extravaganza. Show number 100 on KDWN 101.5 FM 720 AM. And, of course, I want to thank Odyssey for continuing our show here on this great station. We certainly do appreciate it. Andrew Fish Fain headed off to work, but Joe DeFalco is hanging around with us, and we're going to wrap up our discussion on the Pro Wrestling Illustrated Awards. So, Joe, I know you're chomping at the bit to get to this last one. That's where I'm going to save it. The most hated wrestler of the year was MJF. He wins that for the second year in a row. Kind of not a surprise on that one. Comeback of the year was Taya Valkyrie, who edged out Bayley, Johnny Gargano, and Alexa Bliss on that. And so congratulations to her. Most improved wrestler of the year, and boy, is this one ironic, Joe, Mandy Rose. ends up winning most improved for the year, which is, a pretty important award when those come down to it. Were you a little surprised to see Mandy Rose win that one, or you think that one holds up?
No, she had some big matches on her OnlyFans page or whatever it was called, so that some people didn't really see. But according to Matt Bloom, they were really, really good.
Fair enough. Indie Wrestler of the Year, they just started giving that award a couple years ago, and this one goes to Matt Cardona, the former Zack Ryder.
Definitely well deserved. He totally reinvented himself, and in all honesty, his Impact run has been nothing. It's done nothing for me. It's people didn't care. It was when he went to GCW and did that whole gimmick with Nick Gage and the Moxley and stuff. That was tremendous work, and that made him one of the most hated men in wrestling.
Yes, it did. Of course, won the NWA title as well this year. Had among many titles, he was wearing all sorts of championship belts. So congratulations to Matt for making that comeback. Inspirational Wrestler of the Year went to Jon Moxley. Of course, overcame his alcohol issues and wins that award. So now here's the one where Joe's going to explode. And this is really, this has kind of been the hit or miss award over the years, because obviously when you have a Rookie of the Year, you have someone who just, pops up on the scene and you never know if they're going to last or not. Some big names have won this award. You got Zbyszko and Flair, Backlund, Steamboat, Brad Armstrong won the award, Luger, Owen Hart. And then you have names like Sweet Brown Sugar, Nord the Barbarian. Let's see, Eric Watts has won this award, Vampire Warrior, Alex Wright, Prince Iaukea. Maven won this award, Monty Brown. I mean, there's been some names on here that kind of, shake your head a little bit. But this one, Hook of AEW wins the award, the son of Taz. Joe, you're not happy. Why?
It's like, okay, when did he even debut? Was he even around the first 4 or 5 months of the year?
That is a good question.
To me, it's like, who's the guy that really made the most impact? It was of a rookie, and how is it not Bron Breakker?
Wow, that is another name. Your question on Hook, he made his debut on December 8th, 2021. So that was when he got started.
And right, but how many times did he show up on TV? How many matches were AEW dark matches? I remember there was a point where it was like, oh, Hook, and it was like, oh, okay, and then you didn't really hear much, and then all of a sudden, I would think over the last 3 or 4 months, and there was even a space in the last 4 to 6 months to where you didn't see much of him. But Bron Breakker came in and exploded on the scene, or he's considered a rookie. Solo Sikoa is one of the main guys in the bloodline. So if you want to say a guy who he may have started a little later in the year, but to me, those two guys have had way more impact. Bron Breakker is the guy who basically runs NXT. He's been the champ twice, and Solo Sikoa is already a main event guy, beating Sheamus in matches, and it helped solidify the bloodline and stepped right in. So Hook to me is like, Dave Meltzer and Taz are the only ones who voted.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how that vote tally came out. But I'll throw another name out there too that I think deserves some consideration. That's Logan Paul. I know I know he didn't have that many matches, but wow, what he did.
Right, but I think what Logan Paul did in 3 or 4 matches was tremendous. But Solo Sikoa's had 50. Bron Breakker's had, how many matches? He's wrestled from the Dolph Zigglers and showed up on Raw. And to me, that's the Rookie of the Year. They made him the champion of the company, not the belt that my dad handed me.
Right. I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you. I think I'm going to buy this edition because I'm curious to see how tight that vote was, as I bet it was pretty darn close. But
travesty. It's a travesty.
Well, Rookie of the Year has been always interesting for the PWI Awards. All right, so that is pretty much going to do it for us as we close out this edition of the Mark Hoke Show. And want to thank, of course, Brad Gilmore for being on, Joe DeFalco, and Andrew Fish Fain joining me on the show. It's been a great 100 shows, and we're looking forward to doing 100 more. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show, Facebook, The Mark Hoke Show, and download this podcast. We're seeing it from all over the world. MarkHokeShow.podbean.com and all of your favorite podcast outlets. We would certainly appreciate that. And, of course, MarkHokeShow.com. So on behalf of the team, I want to thank you so much for tuning in, and we will be back next week with more on the Mark Hoke Show. It's the best in pro wrestling news and entertainment here in Las Vegas and around the world. Thank you so much for listening to Las Vegas. We will see you next time. Have a great Sunday. Good luck on your bets and anything else going on with the football, and we'll catch you next week.
Want more of The Mark Hoke Show? Follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show, like us on Facebook at The Mark Hoke Show, and visit MarkHokeShow.com to keep up with everything happening with the show. And remember to check out all of our archive shows on YouTube at The Mark Hoke Show and download our podcasts at MarkHokeShow.podbean.com and all your favorite podcast outlets. So join The Mark Hoke Show family today, and thanks for listening.